Hi friends, welcome back again to Daily Answer Writing Approach under our M360 program. We are writing every day one question, and today's, that is 5th October question is critically analyze whether the non-enforceability of directive principles of state policy make them subservient to fundamental rights. So this is the question. We need to write it in 150 words, 10 marks. Say here the words and the space is the main constraint. You can find a lot of content. So let us look at the approach quickly. See, in the introduction, we will begin with what are fundamental rights and directive principles in a simple manner. So don't go elaborate much. Simply write fundamental rights being in part 3 of the constitution and they are enforceable. Okay. Then directive principles of state policy which are in the part 4th of the constitution. You can, if you remember, you can write the articles as well. Say for example, these are from 12 to 35 and then 36 to let's say 51. So you can mention these articles and the parts of the constitution in the introduction itself, and you can say then this is the introduction. Then you can go into the body of the answer where we need to address this, whether one is like particularly DPSP is subservient, that is lower in degree or lower than the fundamental rights. So in the body, you can connect it between the introduction and the body, saying that the tussle between fundamental rights and DPSP has been, you can say it dates back to a long time. Say as early as, let's say, Dorai Rajan case or Golaknath case, that is where the tussle came out, where government, what it does is it tried to abrogate certain fundamental rights in order to implement DPSPs. That is when the first instant this issue has gone to the Supreme Court. In the initial cases, let's say Golaknath case, Supreme Court held that fundamental rights are absolute. They cannot be abrogated or amended in order to implement these directive principles of state policy. Then of course there is this entire tussle between judiciary and the legislature. The parliament made 24th and 25th amendment, and in 25th amendment it has introduced one article 31C, so which is making an exception that in order to implement directive principles of state policy they can amend these fundamental rights. Of course some provisions of it were struck null and void, and some provisions were validated in the famous Keshwanand Bharati case, right? Keshwanand Bharati case. This is the next step. Say all this information I'm giving you, you can represent it in the flow chart in the body itself. So Keshwanand Bharati case, this is what been held. Then later in the Minerva Mills case, this is the very important one. Minerva Mills case, the Supreme Court itself held that the constitution is founded on the bedrock of both fundamental rights and DPSPs. Both are essential. No one is superior, no one is inferior. Both are essential. That is the judgment in Minerva Mills case. Later it has been upheld again in LIC case and other many cases. Now after writing this flowchart, now we should go for the critical analysis of the statement that is being given. What is this? It is saying that non-enforceability of DPSPs, should they make it subservient to fundamental rights or not? Now that is where we are entering into the core part of it. So what we will do it, even though the directive principles are non-enforceable, but the constitution itself put them in the part 4 of it, plus constitutional status has been given, plus see the forefathers or the framers of the constitution are the chairman of the drafting committee himself, B.R. Ambedkar. He said they are very essential in the governance process. They have been equated with instrument of instruction in Government of India Act 1935. They are so essential in the governance process that has been held. So though the fundamental rights are very essential for the individual to ensure equality and political equality particularly, but along with that the government or the state should also keep these directive principles in mind, and they provide the social justice, social and economic equality to the citizens of India. That's why they are also equally important. Then we have to justify why they are non-enforceable. Simple thing is, even though they are so important, due to vast size, so much of diversity, plus the constraint on the resources, they are not being put in the enforceable, let's say they are not being given enforceability, because if they are made justiciable, then of course there will be like a lot of demands, and the newly developed government, then newly developed the country with the constitution, will be always in the logarithm of this no judicial proceedings. That is the reason why the forefathers kept them under non-justiciable part. So this is how you can conclude, right? At the bottom line, do write it. Both fundamental rights and directive principles of state policy, both of them are essential in ensuring or in giving the citizens the ideals of the constitution, such as equality, fraternity, justice, like all kinds of justice, freedoms, right? So in all of these, both of them essential. See, let's say the fundamental rights takes care of the political equality portion, whereas the directive principles of state policy, they take care of social and economic justice and equality. So this is how we can conclude it. I hope the points are useful. With that, you can do the value addition. Maybe 1 or 2 points you might have gained here. If I miss anything, do let me know in the comment section, and keep writing, and that is the only way we can improve. So see you tomorrow with the continuation of this approach. We will look at the approach to answer to another question. Till then, take care. Bye everyone.